What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is a special time, 4 weeks out from the biggest money show of the year, prize money, the Arnold Classic. And what's that on your phone? What were you showing me?
The time.
Oh, the time. So we are going to do this Power Hour live. So joining me as always, the one and only Tiger, Giles Tiger Thomas, over there in Old England. I'm in New England. And we're going to start looking at this lineup. So, yeah, man, I'm so psyched for this show. We were just talking before we started. This time when there's no shows going on, it's just, it's rough for all of us who are huge, huge fans of the sport because we love the lead ups to these shows. So should we go? We'll just go alphabetically. Well, we'll go in the order that they're showing because it's only fair. Tonio's going. So this is Anthony Williams, who won the Arnold Amateur last year. He's making his pro debut at the Arnold Classic, which is a bold, bold move. Same thing Sam Sulek is doing in Classic. Looks really good. These were taken yesterday, Giles.
This guy, I'm telling you, I mean, obviously there's not a huge amount of updates and everything. So this guy is really kind of standing out for the right reasons because he's looking like, look at that rear double bicep, look at the ab and thigh. He's kind of difficult to fault. Now, I thought he was pretty good when he won the amateurs, like when Andrew Jack won the amateurs, the Arnold Classic, you know, when he turned pro. He's kind of at that level where I'm thinking, sorry, lost you there.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah, he's kind of at that level.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, Giles.
Yeah, he's kind of that level, and I mean, looking at these just 4 shots randomly, I'm finding him really hard to fault. So he's clearly made improvements since he turned pro, and obviously here's a guy that needs a little bit more muscle tissue to really do battle at the Arnold Classic. But look at the symmetry, look at the shape. I'm getting kind of Flex Wheeler, Sean Roden. Look at the waist. He's flat. It's tight. He's dry. Ron, I think we've got a superstar in the making here. This guy could, even if he doesn't place well, which let's be honest, he's probably not going to place well. He's probably going to place near the bottom. But this guy is going to make an impact because already looking at these shots now, I am impressed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. He's not ready yet, but he's made serious improvements in just 1 year. And yeah, he's jumping into one of the toughest shows he could possibly have chosen. So even if he places near the bottom, which is that's a very likely scenario, it doesn't mean he sucks or anything like that. It's just he's jumping in with both feet into the pool. And I think we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg with him. I think he's going to be a lot better than this. These were 2 weeks ago, this live posing that we're looking at here. So yeah, he'll be ready. I mean, I see exactly the structure, the shape, that small waist. So much potential with this guy. So good luck to you, Anthony. Moving on up, Tonio Burton is not in the show.
Ron, hang on 1 second. Whoa, Ron, go back. Okay. I think apart from size, I don't see anything holding that guy back. So because every other box is ticking, the shape, the symmetry, the condition, he looks good in every pose. He doesn't seem, from what I can see here, doesn't seem to have a weak body part. He's got beautiful flow, nice shoulder to waist. I mean, apart from size, I mean that's a bloody impressive physique. Sorry, I to be honest, it's the first time really studying him that much rather than just kind of scrolling on Instagram. But I'm getting major superstar vibes here, mate.
Agree. So if I had any critique, and that's what we do, we critique. Biceps look incredible. I would hit those tries a little, fill out those triceps a little more because we would like to see more volume. There's some guys in the show with ridiculous triceps.
True. Look at the rear double work. I love the rear double.
All right, I don't want to make it all about Andrew Jack, but look at Andrew Jack. Wow.
Go on, man.
This was just posted an hour or two ago with he's there at MI40 Gym in Tampa, Florida with the one and only Masters Olympia champion and 212 Olympia champion Kamal El-Garni. Kamal putting him through the paces, and that's been his secret weapon, Kamal El-Garni. Wow. Yeah, I know this isn't showing much, but he's been showing more of his physique this prep than I've ever seen him do before.
And And you know what, Rob, with all the advances in all the different pharmacological aids and all the different styles of training and everything else, all the different this coach and that coach, who'd have thought that the one thing that would make a difference was basically going to an old school, also new school bodybuilder, because he's been successful since the 90s. So that's 4 decades he's been winning. And not really known to be a coach or like a prominent training partner to anyone. He's always been kind of a bit of a lone wolf, Kamal. But who'd have thought that taking it right back to basics and just having someone just putting you through those basic, hard, old school, short rest, banging out the sets, banging out the reps, mixing everything, good form, good technique, focusing on the muscle. Who'd have thought that that would be the magic ingredient all these decades later? After basically, you could put this in black and white and you'd think you're watching something from Pumping Iron. Do you know what I mean? It's all put that retro filter on. If you weren't familiar with the sport and who the people were, you'd think, this is maybe the equipment might give it away, but stuff like this, you could be forgiven for thinking, what's really changed since the 70s. You've seen pictures. In fact, it's better form than Arnold had, but it's just you can't. But my point is that you can't beat the basic. You can try and get as complicated and make bodybuilding as scientific as you want, but when it comes down to it, mate, this is what counts. That time in the gym, the grinding, the set after set, having that training partner, paying attention. Because another thing is something I noticed, like training partners now, even watching in the gym generally. You don't see training partners now are on their phone. They're not even training. They're just training on the same piece of equipment or something. They're not actually. You don't really see many training partners anymore. Like, look at this. This reminds me, like I said, when I used to train with my old training partner, the 70-kilo guy, the Wayne. Like, I was watching I wasn't blinking. I was watching every single rep he was doing. I'm checking out the form, the technique. Is he squeezing? Is he giving it everything? Is he making more noise than effort? So and that's all it is. It's just someone to make sure that you ain't slacking off. It's like when I used to watch Sybil with Ruli. She didn't let him get away with anything. And you could see the days that he was tired and he was like, make a bit more noise. You'll think I'm putting the effort in. And you could see the ones that know who's blagging and who isn't. It's that kind of honest old school training. And I love it, mate.
And it also goes to show that, like you said, people think the key to improving is finding a new coach or getting on more drugs or some new drug. People don't put enough credence into training and how much it affects the physique. Even if they think at this level, it doesn't even matter. The guys are genetic freaks. They can do whatever they want. But a simple change in training partners and probably a little bit in the training style has made a massive difference in this guy. He leapfrogged. He went up to 3rd at the Olympia, and he is the favorite, along with Hadi, to win this show right now.
How many times when you've seen bodybuilders make massive leaps, and then when you or I have, say, interviewed them, you find out they just say, oh, well, I got a really good training partner, a local guy that was reliable. And sometimes it's more often than not, it's someone that's not a big name. It's sometimes I've even heard instances where it's not even been a bodybuilder they've been training with, just someone that trains really, really hard. Like I've trained with so many different bodybuilders over the years. And I would say one of the best training partners I ever had was one of my best friend, my childhood friend, a guy called Gareth. And the reason he was so good is because he was so bloody competitive and he was reliable, and he was wanting to, it was an ego thing, it was a pride thing. He was someone that wanted to get ahead of me and I wanted to stay ahead of him. So like sometimes it's not always about training with, it's not just Kamal because he's Kamal. He's an Olympia champion. He's this, he's that. He's won the world championships and all that. It's about someone that is going to show up, who's going to be reliable, he's not going to be sort of, like I said, checking his phone or sort of texting clients whilst the guy is lifting. Because I've seen that many, many times. You see them being trained, and they're not really being trained. Like Kamal, it's almost as if Kamal is living his bodybuilding through Andrew now, because he sees the potential. Because I've been messaging Kamal regularly, and he's been saying, he says, because he knows, he's like me, he knows a good physique when he sees one, and he knows the potential in someone. So we kind of recognize the same things, and not just about physical attributes, but mental attributes. So it's I'm really happy he's got Kamal actually. And also, I mean, I put that when he was doing the side laterals, Andrew doing the side laterals, you played there before, and you see like the stripiness and the detail in his shoulders. Was it 4? When was that video taken? 4 or 5 weeks out?
So this was posted. It says 3 days ago. I know it's older than that.
Ron, if you could get this video and put it next to the stage footage of Romania, he's sharper, the skin is thinner, and there's better detail and separation now than how he was when he won at Romania. You could feel free to go and check on your own time. Okay. Seriously.
Yeah, he's getting so much crap about oil this and oil that, but look at the shoulder stripes in the shoulders. I think if you're putting a ton of oil in your shoulders, you're not going to see that. You're just not.
Exactly wrong. Because I mean, there's so many experts on Instagram now. It's astonishing. I don't know where they've all come from. But the thing is, if you use site enhancement oils, the one thing you're going to lose is you're going to gain fullness, but you're going to lose condition. You're going to lose separation and detail. Now, if Andrew's shoulders are getting bigger and more detailed, then that tells you it's from training, not from. Because if anything, it's like it's funny enough. I pinned some TRT in my shoulder the other day, and I was laughing. I was in the kitchen laughing at the hypocrisy of how I bang on about pinning shoulders. And it's like, well, but if I was going on stage, I wouldn't be doing that, because I know that if I'm fighting for those 12, 16 weeks or whatever to get all that condition in detail, it doesn't make sense to me to then go and pin areas where you want, where you're going to be taking away all that detail you've worked for. For me, it just doesn't make sense.
No, I agree. I mean, it's like pinning delts is such a risky proposition. Yeah, Andrew at the Olympia there where he took third place. I did want to. I know I don't want to be a jerk, but I said I did see this morning. It was hearkening back to that. I don't know why. Who is the best bodybuilder? Did this? This is not my post. Who's the best bodybuilder? Brought up the Dave Martin Fitzwater through Shade Andrew Jack, and this was 22. So this is 4 years ago at the Arnold Classic UK. Were you at that show?
Yeah, Arnold UK. I remember. No, I wasn't at that one, but I remember when this happened. It was when just about when because Martin got refused because Martin was refused the well no that was a couple of years later, but I remember because he was really upset that he got fifth and it kind of knocked him out because he took a year off, didn't he, to put size on. It really lit a fire under his ass, this show, actually, for Martin. Yeah.
So this was the post that he made. The internet is forever, guys, so you got to be think before you post, really, all of you. He says, I don't want to compete again. What a fucking joke. When this is a perfect score and you look like a bag of chocolate milk. Oh, no, not just regular milk, chocolate milk. But yeah, Andrew's condition was not the greatest, but I mean, the physique was just insane. Even this is 4 years. This was his rookie. Wait a minute. This couldn't have been the 22 Arnold Classic UK because he turned pro at the 22 Arnold USA amateur. He didn't make his pro debut until
it was what, 23.
So this must have been 23 Arnold UK. Who won? Did Andrew won that, right? Yeah, he won that with a perfect score. So
Andrew won it. Because I remember it was a last minute thing. He jumped in at last minute, and I remember that it was funny because there was so much interest around this show, and it was so like a crazy amount of interest, and they didn't do a live stream, and I was like, you've got, because Martin wasn't quite a bigger name as he is now.
Right.
But Andrew was, because Andrew had just turned pro. He just got 8th at Olympia, so having him jump in this show was a huge point of interest. But he looked really, really good. I think
here's the Olympia picture.
I don't know. You can't.
Yeah, I don't want to keep. I don't want to believe.
Oh, these. Oh God, yeah, of course.
I won't.
No, but the yeah. Going back, so let's talk about it.
I just thought so. Here's That was the only full body picture of Andrew. I know it's cropped there, but that's the only full body. He didn't post that. It got posted. It was like a quarter millisecond of the beginning of one of his Instagram posts. But man, he's looking awesome. There's Rafa. We'll get to Rafa. All right,
the legs are bigger, aren't they, on Andrew? The legs are thicker. He's
getting better overall, I think. I mean, for a guy who's 40 years old now, he's not showing any signs of. Okay, so Martin Fitzwater, I cannot go to his Instagram, guys. I am blocked. However, I can show you a couple pictures that a friend of mine, who is not blocked, sent me yesterday. This is from January 22nd, so it's not fully current. This is January 28th, also not fully current, but I don't doubt that Martin's going to be in condition. I don't worry. He's been so consistent with conditioning. I don't think anyone needs to worry about him being in shape or not. Giles, what you think? Are you there, Giles?
That's good. Yeah, no, I'm just looking there because like there's not really much to tell because he's not really showing that much. But I wonder if he'll end up being one of these guys like Flex Wheeler that always looks good at the Arnold Classic but never kind of nails it at the Olympia. Maybe it's a seasonal thing because some bodybuilders, like I was thinking back to Flex Wheeler, like the distraction of training in the summer at Gold's Gym and all the women in their little shorts, and I do think about things like that as an actual factor. Whereas some guys, like I remember Alvin Small, he never used to train in the summer. He used to take 6 months off. He wouldn't train through the summer because I want to train in the summer. I was like, what? You want to train through the winter? And he said, yeah, I love training in the winter because I enjoy it. So I was like, so the time you're looking your best is when you're covered up with 5 layers and no one ever gets to see it unless you step on stage. So I wonder if Martin's one of these guys that will be able to nail it at the autumn shows at the Olympia. But maybe early on, because Pittsburgh, he was off last year. He didn't really hit that hit. But I find it very, very hard to imagine Martin not showing up looking good after what he did at Prague. Because think about, I mean, yeah, he was 5th place at the Olympia, arguably should have been 4th. Nailed it absolutely bang on at Prague and beat Samson fair and square. So really, he's kind of like the 4th best in the world. And he took out the current Mr. Olympia. He took out the Mr. Well, not the current, but he took out a Mr. Olympia that was looking much, much better than he did at the Olympia. So think about his confidence. Him and Stefan have been really working the formula out. They're not going to want to miss. They're going to want to keep this roll going, especially going into the Arnold where, say Martin does, just say, even if he doesn't win, say he beats, Nick, Andrew or Hadi or any of those, like that's really going to give him a ton of momentum going into the Olympia for so many different reasons. So I'd be very shocked if he turns up off for the Arnold Classic. What do you think?
No, I agree. But just to address this one last time, he couldn't have been talking about Andrew beating him at the Arnold UK in 2022 because Andrew did not compete in that show, the 2022 Arnold UK. Andrew made his. The post where Martin was complaining about Andrew beating him. It couldn't have been that show. It must have been the Texas show that he made that post in reference to. I'm thinking.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right. Okay.
Because he wasn't in the 2022 Arnold UK. Andrew wasn't in that show. Did they even have it that year? The Arnold UK in 2022?
I've only been to the one in 24 that Hadi won where Samson was 2nd. Yeah.
Well, I know for sure that
because the other ones were 2 bros and I didn't go to those.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the 2022 Texas Pro where Andrew won, and I can't recall. Martin was 2nd, 3rd. Maybe that was the show he was talking about. Anyway.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Not that important. I'm gonna stop sharing that one. Go back. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it going. Brandon Curry, a Mr. Olympia champion, an Arnold Classic champion, seems to have been pretty much forgotten by a lot of people. And he is not posting a lot of physique up. That's his shoes. I don't know why he's posting that.
Ron, can I ask something?
Yeah.
You know that comment he said about white guy Dorian? That's such a white guy thing to say.
Yeah.
What's your feelings on that? I don't want to stir up trouble because I love Brandon and I'm not trying to stir shit, I swear. But I just thought I kind of imagined Brandon saying it whilst laughing as a kind of, but I just, do you know what I mean? There's different ways you could look at this, and I never want to think that Brandon isn't anything but an absolutely wonderful guy with good intent at all times. But what's your thoughts on that? Because I imagine that might have sparked a few, when race is anything brought into it, unless it's an off the cuff kind of jokey comment. What's he doing? Weird movements.
Yeah, he's got a lot of weird. I don't know I don't know this reference, so fill me in. I'm lost.
No, he said Dorian was, because Dorian's always berating the guys of today, saying they're never as good as him and all that. He kind of catches a lot of shit for it because it is kind of, he does come across, he's kind of right in some ways, but it sounds a bit mean spirited and disrespectful to the guys of today. To say, because he said before, when Brandon won the Olympia, it's like he wouldn't have made top 6 at the Olympia in his day. Now, even if you think that, it's not something you really want to say publicly unless you're willing to take a lot of crap for it, because it is kind of, at the end of the day, Brandon's Mr. Olympia. No one can ever take that away from him. It's not his fault that, Rami wasn't there, Roden wasn't there, Phil wasn't there. He was the best man on the day. He won the Olympia fair and square. So, of course, Dorian has been sort of throwing shade really at the guys of today. And I think obviously he's mentioned Brandon's name in particular. I think it might have been on the Valuetainment, the Patrick Bet-David one.
Oh,
he has specific, and when names are specifically, yes. So when names are specifically mentioned, that's gonna get a bit of a backlash. So I think something else was said recently where Dorian again said, the guys of today aren't as good as the guys in my day, blah blah blah. Which I think Dorian could do. I mean, you can't tell Dorian what to do. He's like Lee Priest. It's pointless trying to try and guide him in a certain way because Dorian's Dorian. And I think that's one of the reasons why we love him in many ways. But he said, and I think basically Brandon said in an interview, and he says, "Oh, Dorian, blah blah blah." That's such a white guy thing to say. So, in fact, because I was going to message Brandy and say, did Brandon really say that? Because I just wanted to get clarification privately. I wasn't going to post it or anything. But I just wanted to see, her reaction, oh, God, that was blown. Because, things, they get taken out, not necessarily taken out of context, because he did say it, but something that's kind of then blown up out of all proportions. And, like I've experienced, I mean, God, in the last year where things are taken out and just completely magnified, and it just creates this huge shitstorm. So I just wondered what your thoughts on. I thought because I assumed that everyone had heard it.
I just don't understand how race even has anything to do with Dorian's comment. Dorian's saying that Brandon wouldn't have done well in his era, or whatever. He's downplaying his achievement as winning the Olympia, which not cool. But why would you say a white guy thing to say? I mean.
Yeah, you probably have to see I'll try and find it for you and send it to you, and then maybe you can bring it up next week. The thing is, I don't want to blow that up as well, because that's I'm kind of talking about it because it's ridiculous how it has got blown up. But I just thought, what a deliberately careless thing of Brandon to say, unless he was just trying to get a rise out of Dorian. Because the thing is, it probably is quite annoying actually when the guys of yesterday aren't kind of giving you the credit for today, because sports go all through different types of, peaks and troughs, and, all new categories come up, and then half the guys from the Open that would have carried on as Open then jump into Classic. The short guys do 212. The sport changes, the sport's evolved. It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, let alone 2030. So you kind of just got to go with the flow. And, and sometimes there's years when, we get those dream lineups at the Olympia and the Arnold, and there's sometimes when there's a few people missing that we wish were there. And maybe if they were there, would have been a different outcome. But I do think though. I think maybe it's a way of Brandon saying, "Hey, Dorian, just calm it down and maybe just be a little bit more respectful." Because sometimes I think it's great to have this "I don't give an F" attitude of they can it's great to say what you think and you feel and you want, but sometimes you can actually you don't want to. It's not about hurting people's feelings, but it's a bit like. I don't know. It's like saying, okay, then if Lee Haney had done the 1990, just like Brandon now, if Lee Haney had done the 1992 Mr. Olympia, who would have won, Dorian or Lee? And then if most people said, oh, Lee, then maybe Dorian would be like, okay, I'm feeling a bit upset now, but I don't know. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see it face to face in a podcast to see their feelings.
God, man, that'd be my dream podcast with those two going at each other. But I stand corrected. So I assumed, because the Arnold UK is usually held right after Arnold USA. Correct. In 2022, it wasn't held until September.
Oh, yeah. Hang on, of course, yeah, because it was after Texas. Because he did Texas, and then he was doing the Olympia, and then and then at the last minute, because wasn't George Farrell working with him or something at the time?
Yeah, George was his coach originally.
Yeah, George said, "Oh, he's doing it," and I was like, "Oh," because it was a very last minute thing, him jumping in. It was saying, I think it was 6 weeks before or after one of those, the Olympia or Texas, and I was like, I remember the excitement of when we found out that Andrew was going to be doing the Arnold UK. I remember just the interest was insane. That's probably when I started getting the idea for doing the tour, because I thought, the popularity and the draw and the pull on this guy is insane, and this was a newcomer as well, So this was like when Ramy first came along and then won the New York Pro 2013, and that's all everyone is talking about, these sensational newcomers, which obviously all gets all of us fans excited.
So just so people know, that was Andrew Jack won, Patrick Johnson, is that right?
Yeah, from Denmark,
and then James Hollingshead was third, and I guess Martin was down fourth that year. Like you said,
I think Martin was fourth or fifth.
Yeah, I think he was fourth.
Because I remember he was really disappointed. I remember really disappointed. I think he honestly thought he was going to come in and win it. And that's when I think it was because of that show, that's why he decided to take the year off and put the size on, because, sometimes, you and I know, sometimes like a knockback where you, like Martin, thought he was going to come in and maybe get first or second and qualify for the Olympia. It's all in his head planned. And then it kind of doesn't sort of come to fruition. Sometimes it can really help these guys, because sometimes, they go away, they lick their wounds, and then they're like, right, the plan is I'm going to take a year off, come back, and I'm going to go up to another level. And that's exactly what he did.
I mean, I think in almost every case where a bodybuilder has come back dramatically improved, it's on the heels of getting their ass kicked.
Give me two best examples, and I bet they're the same ones in my head.
Well, Ronnie was it 2003? He came back after getting beat by Gunther that year. He came back phenomenal and destroyed everybody.
Would that have happened if say Ronnie hadn't done the GNC show of strength? Would he have showed up like he did in 2003? I think it's unlikely.
No,
yeah,
of course not.
So that was a good thing. That was a bad thing that happened to him, where he probably thought his life has ended. And then look what good came out of it. That shows you that's why I like the mentality of these guys like Ronnie and well, I'm sure you'll mention some others of they take a knockback and they turn it, the ability to sort of take a loss and not have it completely destroy them.
Yeah. Well, Max Muscle, what's up, Max? That's another great example. Cutler got beat by Dexter Jackson in 2008.
Yep.
Rightfully so. And he came back with the little faux hawk, working with Hani Rambat in 2009, shredded out of his skull, and that's where the quad stomp picture comes from. So yeah, he was that's two out of him.
There you go. I mean, it's the thing is, I think those are the guys that long after their careers are over, these are the ones that they earn the most respect over time. Like in 10, 20 years, when all the influencers at the expos have kind of been forgotten about. People remember not just the 8 Sandows or the 4 Sandows for Jay and Ronnie, but they remember what they came back from. Like how many bodybuilders have come back from injuries, and I mean, like Flex Wheeler. In fairness, he's when he broke his neck, and you'd have thought, okay, his career's over. I mean, there's so many different things that like they're the ones that separate the great bodybuilders from the absolute legends.
Yeah, I mean, Branch Warren won the Arnold Classic 6 months after a full quad tear, and me and anyone else out there who has torn a full quad tear that needed surgical reattachment, that is just mind-boggling. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's keep going.
LeBron 93, when he tore his pec, I mean, you'd have thought his career was completely. I mean, when you actually hear the story from him, because I spoke about it, I was with him in Amsterdam in the summer, and he told me that story again, and just to be reminded of it from the horse's mouth when he stood right in front of me. We were talking about it walking through the mall next to this airport where we landed, because I bumped into him. I didn't expect to see him, and he told me that story again. It was fun. I think it was actually might be in the cab, and it was amazing to hear. Like you thought, I was like mental. Like when Zach Khan tore his quads, and he said the first time he actually filmed it of the first time of him getting under 4 plates on the Smith machine squat, and he said that wasn't a physical thing. He says because I've lifted that a million times. He said it was the mental. Yeah. The PTSD from
100%.
Yeah. So sorry, I love hearing stuff like, because I think that's where bodybuilding becomes truly inspiring.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it going. We've got Akeem Williams, the Beast, not getting a lot of buzz, Akeem, although he's a very consistent guy these past few years, and he's still huge dude. See what he's posting. He usually posts pictures with the rock tape around him. Yeah. How far along? This was 2 weeks ago. So that was 6 weeks out.
Look at the arms.
Yeah, his front double is just ridiculous.
I love Akeem.
He looks like a short guy proportionally, but he's 5'10" or 5'11".
He does. He looks like you could think he was a 212 there.
Yeah, I think it's because his head is a little on the larger side. But that's a real thing. Your head size proportionate to your body gives an illusion. Do
you know what I love about Akeem? It's like he's another one, like a couple of times with Dexter and a couple of times with other pros, and you think, oh, okay, they're on the slide now. I just love the fact that he's I think we've just forgotten about it because he's done it so many times. I mean, especially in the last couple of years where I honestly thought he was done. And in the last couple of years, he won when he did well in Romania, and he won Spain, and to see him come back, especially after all those, like the shoulder injury, like my shoulder now is bloody killing me now. And you just think, my God, these bodybuilders because what did he say he was pressing? Did he say? Oh yeah, because he said that month he just shoulder pressed 200-pound dumbbells.
Yeah, I think it was.
He did, and then he had the car. He said he had the car crash. He said no, because we spoke about it in Romania when we went shopping, and he said yeah. He said I was. He said training was going. That's not a good shot. Get rid of that one. He said that he said his training was going the best it's ever trained. He said that week I just shoulder pressed 200-pound dumbbells, no problem at all. And then he reeled off some other numbers that were just absolutely mind-boggling, like superhuman strength, like strongman type strength. And then he said he had the accident. It just shows you again, when we're talking about setbacks and like bodybuilders like Hakeem, they're mental beasts. These ones, they've got it upstairs, not just in physical attributes. I think that's the difference between the bodybuilders, good bodybuilders, and then the true legends is, like I said, not just their ability to overcome, but the fact that they've got probably more control over their minds and their the sort of power of it than just what they do physically, which they might be genetically blessed for. So that's what I think that's the difference between the true Olympian legends.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching his training in the year or so after the surgery. He had a back injury too from that car accident. He had to be so careful with the things he was doing for a long time. He wasn't doing the crazy dumbbells or anything like that for a while, but he's back to it. He's a warrior.
He's awesome. He's awesome. And the thing is, even just the fact that he's getting invites to the Arnold and he's still winning the occasional pro show once a year or whatever, he's still able to make a good living from bodybuilding. I mean, when did he start then, Hakeem? Because it's not particularly the weight he's using. What year did he start competing? Like, when did he start making an impact?
Let's see. I think he turned pro back in 2002. I'm sorry, 2002, 2010 or 11.
He's up to 14, 15 years now. I mean, that's anything over 10 years, especially if you can still be successful.
I love AI. It tells me everything. Okay. He won 2013, the North American Championship. So,
okay.
So pro for 13 years now. Pro debut was 2014, Chicago.
Anything over 10 years, Ron, is a real blessing. And if you can still, and also to still be, hanging in there, winning shows, making top 50 at Olympia, still got sponsors backing you, and your people are still following you, and the engagement's still there. He's kind of, and he's a guy that you want to be. It's easy to be happy for guys like that because he's a decent guy and he's a badass bodybuilder.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's been top 6 in the Mr. Olympia. That is rare territory.
Twice.
Yeah,
and I that year 2020, go and have a look at the finals of the Olympia and tell me that he doesn't have the best side shots up there with Ramy.
Oh, I always loved his side try. His side chest is nuts.
Oh, it's crazy. It's just he's like I said, he's one of the guys that you put on the easy to root for list.
All right, it's Nick Walker time, everybody. Yeah, buddy. All right. So Nick Walker, obviously an underdog because Hadi and Andrew are the favorites. But, if you want to root for an underdog, I think Nick Walker's your man. He's been getting heat for how he angles himself during these selfies.
From me.
No, you're not the only one, but I mean, who's going to take a selfie that makes himself look worse? Come on.
Hey, well, do you know what, Ron? I was thinking, well, in fairness, Giles, because all the times I have a little angel and a little angel and a devil on my shoulders. And I'm always thinking, like, there's always, because the thing is, when we're doing this, we have to try and be fair and show both sides. So when I'm thinking something, I've got the opposing view, which is probably likely to come from you to say, well, like you just have them. So, like, I do think, like, well, he's not going to post one where he looks thick-waisted, is he?
This is one it's kind of an illusion because his feet are turned out, but I don't think there's any manipulation in the photos here. Nick showing his quads, and unfortunately, you can't stand with your feet splayed angled that far apart on stage. It would look silly, but I think he has brought up the quad sweep. They look better to me than they've ever looked.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'd love to see him with thing is they're all doing what they can, the best they can with the genetics they've been given. And you can only do, the thing is you can do wonders if you know how to train. And like I said, we've seen it many times where bodybuilders have, look at when they said that Phil Heath had narrow clavicles. He did. But he just basically put a plan together where he got his shoulders and his back so big and thick and wide that you don't notice the fact that he's got narrow clavicles, So, I mean, at the end of the day, we can say that that genetics are always going to win out. But look, Dorian didn't have better genetics than Flex Wheeler or Kevin Navrone or some of these other guys, but he just basically I wouldn't say worked harder, because it's hard to say, but whatever he did worked better for him, that enabled him to be the best he could be.
Yeah, I mean, Nick has done so much with. People go back to the picture of his first show, which was really misleading. He was natural and he was severely over dieted, so it was no indication of his future potential. But I agree, he's not as genetically gifted as some people in terms of shape and structure. That's not even an argument. But good Lord, he's playing to his strengths and the mass and thickness and density. And look at this guy. This is freak.
Sorry, this shot on the side chest was very, very impressive, because I honestly don't like his side chest on stage, because I think his chest looks overpowered by his shoulders and his arms. So for me as a bodybuilding analyst, I'm like a judge. I'm attracted to the flaws, not the strengths. So whereas some people would say, I absolutely love that shot on Nick because his arms look so freaky, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I don't like that shot because his chest looks small. So, it's not small. It's just that, like you get some physiques that are, like say Lee Haney, torso dominant, where the chest and the back, but the arms and the legs don't quite match the chest and the back. Or you get guys like Mike Matarazzo, who are shoulders and arms dominant, but a weaker chest and back, and then you get some bodybuilders like the Samson stuff, who are kind of like more evenly developed, and that's kind of what you want, really. Yeah. But Nick, for me, at the end of the day, we're trying to achieve the most perfect version of him. I really like this shot. I thought this was a beautiful shot, and I know it's probably carefully chosen, and and like you said, he's going to pick the best ones. He's going to get it when he's looking his best. He's not going to do it when he's probably just trained, so he's probably got an amazing freaky pump and probably just banged a load of carbs with some bloody insulin or something. So he's full to bursting. Because he's I can imagine when he trains. I imagine he's one of those. I bet it's impressive to watch. I'd love to get a training session just to see him, like training arms, just be transfixed by the crazy arms of his, to see them just going.
Well, if you've seen any of his training videos, he's one of those guys that pumps up quite a bit. So from the beginning of the workout to
that's what I mean.
20, 30 minutes in, it looks like he's put on 10, 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. It's funny when you talk about bodybuilders want to look their best in their update photos. I remember the only one that ever looked worse was Jamie the Giant.
That's right.
And I remember Jamie the Giant, and he said, well, Giles, I used to do, he said, because I've got a busy day, so I ain't got time to do the set this up, set that up. He said, I used to do them because he used to call them the shithouse pictures. He had this old house with an outside toilet. And he used to do the photos every morning, fasted at like 6 a.m. in his backyard. Yeah. And he obviously had no pump. He's probably busy on getting the kids ready for school or whatever. And, he just, that's how he did. That's how he sent them to his coach. But those are the ones he also posted. But it was funny because he kind of got so much shit for it. And then he started posting them differently with this black, those things that pop up that give you a black background. A fold up thing. You see a lot of bodybuilders use them. They're like they can be crunched down. Which probably most coaches insist upon. Like, okay, get this camera because I want to be able to see your check-ins properly. And this is how you do the lighting. Do it at this time so it's controlled, so it's so I can see any differences. And I remember I went, Jamie. I said, Jamie, what the hell have you done? I said, you look like you put about 30 pounds of muscle on. And he says, no, Giles. He said, I've just started taking the pictures right after my training sessions. I said, Jamie, it looks like a completely different bodybuilder, mate. I said, you look like you did 10 years ago compared to, he said, it's just a pump, Giles, just a pump. He said, I do look different through the day when I've had 4 meals as opposed to when I'm fasted, flat as a pancake and in a rush, and outside in bloody freezing cold temperatures. I was like, oh, well, I suppose that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I like when people look so much better on stage than they did in their update pictures.
Doesn't happen very often, though. Doesn't happen very often.
It's usually the other way around, unfortunately, because like you said, if you picture yourself, you're gonna make yourself look worse and post that. Come on, guys.
See, that's a good question. I'd love to actually. How many bodybuilders would be honest if you asked them the question? Given a choice, would you rather look great on social media all year round, or would you like to forfeit that and just look good on stage for that one day, for those few hours once a year? What is more important to you? Is it looking good on stage, or is it looking good for your followers all year round? Which is better and why?
Well, if you're just a social media influencer and you don't compete.
Not talking about that.
Okay, so we're throwing them out the window. Obviously, the stage is what matters. stage is what matters. You want to win it. You want to win.
You'd think that. You'd think that.
You would think that. Yeah. Nick was off bad his last showing. With no coach, probably worse. I think he's gonna look better than he did at the Olympia. Personally,
I'd be very excited for that.
Yeah, because I mean, this, like I said, I think he was a little puffy, a little watery looking here, but this wasn't a horrible look. It just wasn't. It wasn't enough to push for the top 3, 4 like a lot of people had hoped he would. The condition wasn't that bad at all. Come on, look at that.
I hate this video. I couldn't believe it when you showed it to me, because every other video and photo I saw from the Olympia, he looked 10 times better than this. So when I saw this one, I was just like, ugh, I don't like this video, because I thought he looked really good at the Olympia. I thought he looked really, really good. I think, but this video, I mean, I think there's more of an argument for Brandon beating him, Brandon Curry in 7th.
Oh, yeah. So this was the 2023 Arnold where he took second behind Samson.
That's nice.
I'd like to see a look a lot closer to this, which I bet was 20 pounds lighter than he was at the last Olympia.
Be realistic now. What do you think? Okay, do you know what he weighed at the Olympia?
I don't. I believe he was about 265. If anyone in the chat can correct me, they know for sure.
Okay, so he's 265. I mean, because it's over 2 days, his weight's probably gonna change maybe 3, 4, 5 pounds over that weekend. So let's say 265. You think he's about 245 here?
Yeah, I believe he did go lighter for that Arnold. I think it was a strategical thing where him and Matt Jansen as coach, they pushed the condition harder than they tried to in the past few shows.
His X frame looks more pronounced, because when he does this, because I love his readable bicep, I love his rear lat spread, but he does. I'm just looking here, his legs are quite wide, so it actually, because he's got fantastic calves as well. In here, because he's gone lighter and his waist actually is smaller, because sometimes guys will drop 20 pounds, but they just look 20 pounds from everywhere.
Like Samson.
Samson. Yeah, it's like but here, I think he actually has brought his waist in, and he looks more X-framed, more V-shaped. And for me, I much prefer, like you said, I agree with you. I think this is a much better look than that he brought to the Olympia. And like I said, it's 20 pounds lighter. So again, we've got to try and get through, the fact that heavier isn't always better, especially when you're under 5'10", let's be honest. Absolutely.
And his height is debatable. I think he's somewhere between 5'6" and 5'7". People were saying 5'8", and I'm already under 5'8", and I've stood next to him in the past couple of years. He's shorter than me, but he's probably about 5'6.5", guys. I think he might be 5'7" on tippy toes or something. I don't know.
I think there is a tipping point. I think there's a limiting factor when it comes to guys. I think under 5'9", to be fair, let's say 5'10", I think there is a point where bodybuilders start to look worse the heavier they get. I think there is really a maximum. I think maybe it's not even to do with overall body weight; it's to do with muscle per square inch. Because I was also looking at pictures of Lunsford from the 22 Olympia when he got second to Hadi, and his waist looked dramatically smaller. The physique wasn't hugely different from when he won the Olympia. In fact, I thought his waist looked thicker when he won the Olympia, Derek. But for me, that look was more striking, especially when he did that. Remember when we were there? So when he did that front relax and he hit that frontal bicep, it got like a real big audience response that I don't think happened the same in 23. Maybe it's because people had seen, the gains he'd made, and it wasn't like anything new. But for me, I thought that small. But then again, Samson came with his waist a lot smaller at the Olympia last year. I mean, it was drastically smaller, but because he'd lost size everywhere else, it wasn't as impressive. Yeah,
I would love to see Nick dial it down, Luke come in lighter, come in tighter with a better frame, because he's one of the few people that has so much muscle mass he can afford to lose a little bit, and it actually would help his overall shape and I think he'll place better. I think he has a better chance of winning if he does that.
Hypothetically, Ron, if Nick came to you and said, okay, maybe not full coaching, but Ron, would you guide me the last 6 weeks? Would you do it?
I'd be like $10,000 up front, but yeah, sure.
Would you? No, seriously, knowing the responsibility, because if that went well, say your coaching would then explode, but if it went wrong, you'd probably have to leave the country.
True.
Do you think about it? Like, if you really think about it, imagine if he said, Ron, last 4 weeks, last 6 weeks, or even the last 2 weeks, would you, and if and I'll publicize that I'm working with you, would you take that gamble?
I would if I were more in tune with the chemical side, because I think the top coaches are pretty much pharmacists at this point. They know the ins and outs of every little thing, but I would just be there to make sure he didn't come in with the big, thick, blocky waist. That would be my only contribution to his peaking, I guess.
Hang on. Maybe he'd come to you because you're less pharmaceutically, like look at what we've just spoke at the beginning of this episode about Andrew training with Kamal, because it's less scientific. It's like all the scientific, all these different techniques and fancy this, fancy that, and this training style, that's kind of out the window. Andrew probably went to Kamal because he's not that way inclined. What if Nick came to you and said, look, guys, I'm fed up of being a science experiment with this drug and that drug, and I don't know what the hell I'm taking from one show to the next. Ron, I want to come to you because I just want somebody with a good eye that can just, and also just keep me sort of calm and sort of focused and on track, because it's not just about telling them what to take and how to take it. It's about, there's other aspects as well to being a good coach, and also, just giving them peace of mind so they can come in basically at their best.
I'll do it, Giles. I'll do it.
Okay, it's on. Okay, it's just sorted. Do you know what that is? That 22 look, it was good. I mean, I remember Lauren just going absolutely bananas whenever Nick came out, because I wasn't quite on the Nick train at this point, but after seeing him at this show, it's like when I saw Andrew the first time when he got 8th in this one. I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because he does have awesome stage presence, and I imagine as show promoters, like Arnold and Brian Powers, I bet they're absolutely buzzing that they've got Nick in the show, because he does bring a good energy, and he's not like he doesn't have like some guys. They have that kind of aggressive stage energy, and they're kind of dicks with it as well. They're annoying, but Nick he's kind of cool with it. I'm definitely. It took me a while to come round, but I definitely came round to the old Nick train.
I wish he would give me an interview, but at least he said no, thank you, like a gentleman. He was polite and he responded.
I wonder why he gives it to some and not. I wonder why he gives it to some and not others. It's weird that
I've seen him. I don't know if I don't think I ever said anything really bad about him, or I'm complimentary when I think he's looking great, and when he's not, I note that. But I have no idea. But yeah, I've seen him on some smaller channels.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think the biggest obstacle for guys like ourselves who work in the media, or whatever you want to call us now?
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is other people stirring the shit, taking things out of context. People who want to cause problems for us. Someone that really, like, we think is our friend, but is actually behind the scenes saying, yeah, Giles gave that interview, but did you see the way that he said this? Or, and like something that just other people causing problems. I think that is actually because you and I are professionals. We've been doing this for decades. We know what we're doing. We know when we're being sneaky. We know, do you know?
Well, you talked about intent, and we never have ill intent toward anybody.
Yeah, but if somebody starts questioning your intent and saying, "Yeah, but okay, Giles did this and Ron said that, but what he really wanted to do, what I think what he was getting at, I think he wants to, f you up in this situation or that situation." I'm telling you, I think that's where a lot of our problems come from, or any problems that we do have, and all of a sudden having a good relationship with someone, then all of a sudden it goes completely wrong, and you're like and you're scratching your head thinking, what did I say? When did I say it? It's like, honestly, because sometimes, I've literally set myself crazy thinking, why has that person all of a sudden gone frosty towards me? It's like, and then you realize that actually down the line, it's probably just because somebody's just been stirring the shit and stabbing you in the back when I call them the smiling knife.
The
smiling knife, the one who's like, like your best pal, and then as soon as your back's turned, if you're a fly on the wall, you'd just be in disbelief.
Yeah, well, let's move on. I don't want this to be the Nick Walker show. We got other guys. Other guys. Let's look at Rafa, because Rafa took off all of 2025 to make improvements. And, there's his legs. The legs look pretty damn great. I don't know what that is. So is he in Vegas now? Yeah, I guess he's in.
Yeah, he's in Vegas. Yeah, I spoke to Neil. I spoke to Neil Hill about him yesterday.
So he's training at Dragon's Lair.
Of course.
I don't know why he's putting this on there. I don't know who those people are. But let's see the latest updates from Rafa. So here's his legs. Legs were always good. I never had an issue with Rafael's legs.
Yeah.
That's a distant shot.
I was at his pro debut. Could you believe that in 2017?
That was like everybody's pro debut, wasn't it?
I don't know if I ever mentioned that I went to a show called the 2017 San Marino. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it.
Several times, but was that also Hadi Chupan's pro debut?
Open, yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I mean,
Open, no, he'd won Portugal in 2018. He beat Nicolas Vuillud, and then and it was a bit of a shock because he did the Open. He should have won that as well. No disrespect to Cedric McMillan, God rest his soul, but Cedric was amazing, a huge fan. But Hadi was just sensational that year. My God, it was just everyone was freaking out. He was so good. But so was Rafael, because he was first call out. He was 24 years old and he was first call out in his pro debut. He'd been a junior 18 months before. I think he put something like 30 pounds of muscle on in 18 months. First call out with Brandon Curry, Hadi Choopan, Cedric McMillan. I mean, that is just Tim Budesheim. I mean, it was like a 30-strong lineup. And then imagine that, you get first call out. And he ended up getting 8th place, but which can happen. I remember when Brandon Curry, 2017, first call out at the Olympia after the year before not even being placed. First call out and then getting 8th place in the Olympia. So, because people think first call out, that means you're automatically in top 5, but sometimes it isn't.
So I know I should be the asshole, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Does Rafael look improved since the last time you've seen him? Do you see noticeable improvements?
Well, I know about the stomach issues he's had, so I'm kind of just happy that he's looking good. Okay. I'll be honest, I don't expect any significant improvements. I just want to see him back to as good as he was when he left off. For me, that is a win. Because he's had real problems. He's been through a lot of stress. And I'm just like, that's the reason I was messaging Neil. I said, Neil, I'm so happy to see Rafael back, mate. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that he's back, because obviously he won in Romania. The last time I went to Romania in 24 when he beat Akin. It was very close between him and Akin. They looked fantastic. And then I was all excited for Rafael because he looked amazing in Romania. And then obviously what happened with the stomach problems. And you can imagine behind the scenes with sponsors and expectations, and the Brazilian fans that are they're so dedicated to their guys. That would have been massively disappointing especially when, because I think Rafael was 8th in the 24 Olympia, was he? I've got 8th as 24 Olympia, and then he didn't make the 25 Olympia because obviously the gut issues. But the fact that he's managed to come back I'm just happy for that. I'm looking at these pictures and videos, and I'm not seeing. Yeah, the legs look incredible. His legs are always incredible. It's like that's just but the upper body, he does look like he needs probably another good 6 months to really start. I mean, he looks great, but he looks like he needs more time back in the gym. So, because I'm battling with him for 5th place with Brandon Curry, but that's kind of where I've got him sort of fitting in. But he's doing the Arnold. He's doing the Arnold UK. I feel like he might be peaking for Detroit. Oh, okay. I've just got a feeling it's one of those things I don't think about. It's just something that just automatically unravels in my head. And for me, I reckon we'll see the best version of him. Plus what Neil was hinting at, because Neil sends like 5-6 minute voice notes, and he does, because he really goes into Nick's. Neil, I think Neil like messaging me because we're the bodybuilding nerds that he can really go into detail about, and I'll really listen. He's not the sort of person, because otherwise most media people, whatever, or friends in the industry will come from. They want sound bites, they want body weights, they want something sensational to say. He's 30 pounds heavier. He's this, he's that, he's going to win this. They want something short and succinct. With Neil, you get the breakdown, detailed. Sort of like, to most people absolutely mind-numbingly boring, but I find it really interesting. So I reckon from what he was hinting at, I think we're going to see a pretty good version. I think we're just going to be happy. I'm going to be happy just to see him back on stage at the Arnold. Same with the Arnold UK. But I think Detroit, I reckon deep down secretly, I think they're looking to peak for one of those later shows, because he's not going to be top 3 at the Arnold, either Arnold, let's be honest. Especially if he's trying to fight to get back to where he was. He's going to make his appearance at the Arnold, which is good to see him, to get him seen back up there. But I think he's going to be looking to really put his foot on the gas, I think, for one of the later shows. And I reckon it'll be Detroit or one of those around there.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because this Arnold, it's a very, very tough lineup. He's not beating Hottie. He's not beating Andrew. I don't see him beating Nick or Martin.
That.
So you're looking at like, yeah, that was, when was this? 4 days out from
that's
24 rounds?
Yeah, that's a top 10 Olympia guy there, right there.
That was a great look.
Oh, look at that. To be honest, he was one of those guys that was so aesthetic and such a pretty shape and the nice narrow waist and the you just think, is he ever going to be big enough to kind of, beat the guys that have got more than just aesthetics? And then slowly but surely, he just added a little bit of tissue, a little bit. I'm so glad he had Neil, because Neil's the sort of person that would have gone along with that approach, and really that would have really been in alignment with what Neil wants from his athletes, because he's not one of these guys that say, I've put 30 pounds on Rafael Brandao, and then you get up on stage and he just looks like a bag of shit,
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm just going to be happy to see him back to near how he looked at Romania, because I'm not expecting improved Rafael. I'm just hoping to see as good as Rafael as we last saw, if that makes sense, because those kind of things with the gut and stuff like that, it's not just a matter of, you tear a bicep, you've got 12 weeks till you can do this and do that. And, it's a healing process. You can work around it, but with something complex like the gut, there's a lot of stuff that you've got to reset. And like, apparently he was down to like 2-3 meals a day. He was really it's a real complicated, and it's a really drawn out process. And, when you're a bodybuilder, you just, eating and training is the fun bit. That's the bits where you just want to go all out and go all in, and it's, so he was probably like really, really just wanting to get to it. But like you said, you've got to be so patient. And I can imagine he's really been through it, actually, because just hearing Neil's voice when he mentioned the Rafael's gut issues it sounded stressful for Neil. So I can only imagine what it's been like for Rafa.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Hassan Mustafa.
Yeah.
Hassan, big guy. I interviewed him last year, and he had put on like another 20 pounds of muscle. I'm not sure he needed 20 pounds more muscle, but yeah, this was a look when he won Vancouver a couple of years ago. He was doing, I think he did 4. It took him 4 shows to get his Olympic qualification, but he got the win finally.
Good damn.
And I don't see a lot of current updates.
Love Rafael.
This was 3 days ago. It's just training stuff. Big, thick guy. I wish him the best.
He makes it look effortless, doesn't he? Being so big and round and thick and full. It's almost like it's easy for him. He's just such a monster. And I really like Hassan as well. I think he's a really, really good guy. I think he's a really good soul. I like his wife as well, because I've interviewed him a couple of times through her, and she made it a very enjoyable process, actually. Like, 'cause sometimes it's a bit awkward and you can't get any flow going when you've got somebody translating, but she actually added to it, which was really good. But look at like I said, I always call that kind of muscle voluptuous. Like Akeem's chest and biceps, it's just voluptuous. It looks like it's just hanging off the frame, like, I don't know, like one of those Belgian blue balls.
Voluptuous sounds like a full-figured gal, a lady.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like voluptuous muscle. It's just that's the best way I could describe it. I'm so sorry.
So I don't see him fighting for a top spot in this unless, I don't know, a miracle happens. I like the guy so much, but I have to call him like I see him, and I don't think someone's going to do well. I'm not going to sit here and.
I think secretly one thing I'm kind of hoping for is that when these guys after the Arnold, the ones that keep going after the Arnold trying to get the qualification, they're not going to do 2 preps. I hope that I'm going to say it now. I hope that once they get the qualification, they shut it down and then let somebody else try and qualify, because there's a lot like Mo Foda here. There's another good guy that really I want to see in the Olympia, and I don't want to see them prepping and dieting all year, because they've got to try and fly here, fly there, fly everywhere, because, so-and-so's won 4 shows, or like Nathan Diasher or Urs has just scooped up 3 or 4 of the wins. I'm really, really hoping that they give the other guys a chance. So, and I know that's what I want, has no bearing on it, but because I want to see, there's some guys, like I said, like Mo Foda, I really want to see in the Olympia.
Yeah, and I think Mo he's gonna surprise a lot of people at the Arnold. I think he's a top 5 guy at the Arnold now.
Top 5?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. So
I'll say it right now. Top 5.
Do you know what? Actually, you've got me thinking, because I'll be honest, I've got my top 4 pretty decided. I think unless one of them messes up, or I think it's pretty much them versus everybody else. But for me, the real battle for this show is actually the battle for 5th. Now I had kind of Brandon Curry and Rafael, like really fight it out for top 5. But you know what? I think with what I've been seeing from Mo Foda, because I've been speaking to Patrick Tour as well, because that's his coach. I think Mo's going to be significantly improved because of what I've been seeing, hearing, reading, just picking up on. I think there is a bit of a buzz around Mo at the moment. And I think I might have to agree with you. I've got fifth spot, which is like at the next stage of the competition, the next tier of guys, which also those second tier guys are those are the ones that we also want to see qualify as well, because the first four undoubtedly are going to qualify. I don't see that becoming an issue. But those next guys that we want to see, and I think you might be right, Ron.
I mean, he was kind of not on my radar. I wasn't thinking about him. And then I started seeing these update pictures that he's been posting.
He's bigger, isn't he? He's bigger. He's
bigger. I mean, he did that comparison. This post here really tells the story. It was 3 weeks before Dubai Pro 2025 versus 5 weeks out from this Arnold Classic. And bigger, more detailed, every improved in every aspect that you'd want to see.
Ron, I think he's potentially, I've been saying it for like 8 years. I think he's potentially a Hadi 2.0, but he's like Samson was in 2022. You're like, he's got everything, but has he got what it takes to go to the next level? And then boom, Samson did what he needed to do to go to the next level. I think like that, I think Mo Foda is I think he's the same. I think he's one of those guys that has potential to go to the level of a Hadi and be a first call out at the Olympia, at the Arnold. I think the potential is there. So for me to see, these kinds of improvements and these updates, and you're like, oh shit, he's getting my attention now, because he is really leveled up here. So if what we're seeing is true and it's not just carefully selected, whatever AI, well, I'm not saying AI, but carefully selected, okay, I'm gonna look my smallest in this one and my biggest in this one, this one's slightly closer or whatever. This one had a pump, I didn't have a pump, because there's so many different variables. I mean, I know we're putting them side by side and whatever, but there's so many different things that can alter up the way our brain perceives it. So I think okay. And so fifth, you got a call out with Brandon Curry, Raphael, and Mo Foda. You think Mo will take it?
Yes.
You think it'll be Brandon?
I hate to say it, but yes, I think so.
Okay, good. Okay, that's cool. It's possible. It's possible because what we've been seeing from.
Got to go out on a limb sometimes.
But then again, what we've been seeing from Brandon, mate. I mean, he's shocking. He's shocking. Every single time he comes back on stage, when you think, the last person I'm expecting to shock anyone after all these years at this stage in his career is Brandon Curry, but he keeps doing it. So it'd be interesting to see the newer guy like Mo Foda coming up as the Brandon. It's gonna be interesting because the different stages of their career. It's gonna be a good call at that one.
Last but not least is your 2022 Mr. Olympia champion, 2024 Arnold USA and UK champion, Hadi Chupan. So I'm not even going to get into the politics. We're not here for that, guys.
No.
But the good news is he's got his visa approved. He's all set there, so no worries at all about him getting to the show. He has not been posting updates, and I assume it's with everything going on. He's got a lot to deal with, and maybe he's just shutting things down social media wise and trying to keep his head down and do the work and come in at his best, because at his best, he is incredibly hard to beat, this man.
Where is he now? Is he in Dubai or America? Or
I keep hearing Dubai, but I haven't seen any updates that would indicate. So this was that's his son. So that was
how many kids he got?
No, I think he has 3.
Oh wow!
The kid's got a full mustache. He's probably like 10 years old.
He's got good shape, isn't he? Kid's got good shape.
Oh yeah, he'll be good. Look at his dad. I mean,
but it doesn't always necessarily mean that the kids can have good genetics. I mean, you've seen one of Arnold's sons. He's like, this doesn't necessarily mean it's always carried over.
It doesn't. I mean, my son does not have the genetic. I didn't have great genetics for size at all, but I was not a hard gainer like I thought. My son is a hard gainer, so there's another of his kids. But yeah, I wish we had something more current of Hadi to show you, but he has not been very active on social media or his YouTube channel, as you might expect with everything going on in his country right now.
I feel bad for him, mate. I feel bad for him. I've never been that. I'm not a Hadi hater by any stretch of the imagination, but I I had a couple of little. I know we want to talk about politics, but I feel like we do need to address it slightly. There was a couple of things I posted last night actually, and it was a long, long comment, and I was like, guys, you don't know what pressure that guy's under. As in, because how can I put this? Like with what's going on over there, things are more complex than. Do you know? Do I leave this?
I think none of us can really comment on it because we don't. I think outside of Iran, very few people understand the complexity of everything that's going on in that country right now. People are quick to jump on him and say he should be more supportive of the people who are against the government, and he shouldn't. They're accusing him of being supportive of the government. It's gone back and forth all over the place. But
I just think sometimes if he's that public a figure, and we're talking about businesses, family, friendships, you're telling me that for him to speak against that I personally feel would put not just himself, but his family, his friends, and his businesses, everything, all his interests in danger. Yeah. Because when the government is literally slaughtering people on their own streets, are you telling me that at least one of those people that were gunned down weren't somebody that he knew or was friends with? Or, so you're telling me, obviously, he's not going to bloody support that. So I just think sometimes, guys, don't look at things so simplistically and so black and white because you've seen a screenshot of what he's got on his phone. I think people sometimes they jump to conclusions. They get from A to B without realizing there's a lot of complexities here, because he is significant. He does have influence. So for him, it would be suicide. That's basically what I'll say. I think it would be literal suicide for him, and very, very dangerous for him to speak out against the regime. Because at the end of the day, we take for granted what we live in. UK and America. We live in a pretty free society. Yeah. We can say things pretty much without. Well, it's getting worse in the UK. You can get arrested for bloody tweets now. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. But it's still nowhere near the extremes where if I went and protested in town, I'm literally not going to get the police sticking a bullet in my head. I mean, that's what happens now. So for Hadi, I feel like they should be a little bit more supportive and a bit like, okay, we realize that your situation is different from me, Mr. Joe Public, over there, because it's a different world. So, and I don't like the way that the bodybuilding politics things mixes, because he's not a politician. He's a bloody bodybuilder. So just let him get on with it. Support him. Don't add on stress. Because, I mean, we've seen bodybuilders do amazing things under very, very stressful circumstances. When you find out in their personal life, they can be going through absolute hell. And then you find out they've done it whilst on a prep. And you just think, wow, it just shows you the mental fortitude that some of these pros have. Very, very impressive. So I just hope that it doesn't affect his... there was no doubt in my mind that he wasn't not going to compete. He was obviously going to compete. There was no way they were going to not let him compete because somebody on Instagram, some fellow countryman has an idea in their head of who Hadi supports and who he doesn't. I think that's really unfair. I think that's really, people are so quick to judge and what's the word I'm looking for, and condemn, with when they know zero. Thank God we've got courts. That's all I can say, because the court of public opinion, especially with social media and the way that it spreads like wildfire, and also the mob mentality, the way that people can jump onto something and then they just basically say, right, that's exactly how it is, and that's exactly what's going on here. And it's like, no, you just. And the thing is, it's not like Hadi can go online and start talking about certain things, because it'd be suicide. So I just hope he, and who would want to imagine if he got up there on stage and he looked really bad, and then you find out that the stress of everything was the root cause. I think that would be really, really, I think it'd be a really sad day for bodybuilding if that happened. So it's hard not to root for Hadi in this one, even though my boy Andrew's going to take the lot.
I'll tell you what, I mean, obviously I'm rooting for Andrew, but I'm also rooting for Hadi, because he's going through a lot right now with everything. For him to come in at his best, which I think he will, but if he shows up at his best with all this going on, I think we all need to give him a standing ovation.
Yes.
Basically.
Thank you, Ron. Yeah, I'm glad that people have the ability to at least critically think for more than 5 seconds, because just people judge things by their own standards sometimes. And I think, because we're from a different world that he's from. I mean, that's absolutely for certain. And somebody said, doesn't it show you how much he does love his country, the fact that he's still living there? Because the fact that, all this, I mean, if that had been me, I mean, as soon as this stuff started happening on the streets, you wouldn't see me for dust. I'd never go back to that country ever again. I'd literally say to my family, pack a bag, guys, we're off. Yeah. I wouldn't tell anyone. I wouldn't, because I'd be fearing for my safety. I'd just be booking a flight, say, I'm going to see my sponsor at Evergen. I'm going to see Hanny Rambod. I'm going to go chill for a couple of weeks. And you wouldn't see me for dust. And I'd be applying for asylum or something. Do you know what I mean? I would, honestly, it would, because that's, especially when you got family members to think of, and your kids are there, and you're thinking, shit, I'm putting them in danger by taking them back, really. So I have no idea why he's still over there. I understand business and family and stuff like that, but do you know what I mean? I'd be relocating in a shot. So I hope he's all right. And I hope that, because I read the thing, and I'm thinking, God, that's hard to understand. But you can see that there's real anguish there. There's real pain. Yeah. And imagine that on top of a prep. I mean, some guys, they can't, like some of these pros, they can't even, when you talk about their hamstrings, they can't cope with it. They block you, they, oh my God, I got turkey instead of chicken today. Oh no, like some of these guys, they are a little bit soft. So then you get someone like Hadi who's going through this, and like you said, he does deserve a stand ovation if he wins, because of, and the thing is, we'll probably never know what's really going on as well. So that's another thing, that I empathize with him for. So good on you, Hadi. I think there's a lot of pros that would have just pulled out, something like that, something serious that going on in their country. There's a lot of pros that wouldn't have even hoped of making it to the stage with something like that going on. No chance.
I just want to look at a couple of the classic guys, because there's a whole slew of them, and we've been going for quite a while. So Mike Sommerfeld obviously is the favorite. This is the latest update. Some people think he looks behind, because this is typically how he looks at 12 weeks out or more. And we're here.
How many weeks out is this one?
This is posted 4 hours ago, so this is 4 weeks out.
Well, yeah, it looks good. See how the body looks. The body looks good.
I mean, he's consistent. We've never seen Sommerfeld come in out of shape. So,
it looks like his legs are rock hard, but the upper body looks soft.
Yeah, I mean,
it does. No, hang on, that rear double bicep, that can't be 4 hours. That's not just now, is it?
It was posted 4 hours ago.
Ron, that looks bloody 8 weeks out, mate. 6 weeks out.
I don't see. Let me see if I can find anything that would confirm or deny this time.
That would have me worried.
All right, well, this was 20 hours ago, so.
But Ron, can I address the elephant in the room?
Go for it.
What is going on with this height thing? Because I know, because like obviously what we saw, remember the video you showed the other week of Mike at the Olympia when the height was what he thought it was. I mean, it was a totally different bodybuilder. It looked like a top 212, like first call out 212 guy.
Yeah.
But if this is how and then obviously I think he did pull a bit of a miracle, at the Olympia for what he did with losing the weight. He looked obviously not like the same Sommerfeld that we were expecting and hoping, because of what he had to go through with the height and the drastic weight loss, which is absolutely lethal in itself trying to achieve. So hats off to Neil and Mike for taking it on the chin and basically dealing with that physical and mental stress. But his upper body here looks small, soft. This is not. I mean, maybe it's just. I'm hoping it's just really bad lighting. But the thing is, maybe the body's just tired. Maybe going into this was a mistake. I don't know. I'll be honest. I can't draw a proper conclusion from what I'm seeing here, because just purely for the question mark of what the hell is going on with his height and what is the. Because does he even know what height he's actually going to be, or what? I mean, and if he is to just say he gets heighted a certain way, how long does he have to drop 8 pound or 10 pound or whatever it is? I mean, I'd be honest, until this height thing was sorted, I wouldn't be doing any more shows until that was ironed out with the Pro League, not just for him, but for everyone, because this whole height thing now is a bit of a mess, I'll be honest. And I felt like it was brushed under the carpet after the Olympia. So, I mean, remember we spoke about Hadi in 2019, not knowing whether you can get to the Olympia, and you're going to be prepping 100%, all in. If you don't even know till the last minute, you're actually going to be allowed to compete, etc., etc. It's the same with this, with the height and the weight thing, mate. So
I think they heighted him shorter at the last Olympia, so I think that's where he knows he's not going to get heighted any taller than that. And I don't know if are they still going to keep getting height measurements on these guys, or was that their final height at the Olympics?
I don't know. To be honest, I was expecting them to come out with something after the Olympics, but like I said, it's just all been brushed under the carpet. So do the athletes know something that we don't? Have you spoke to any of them that have said, oh, this is what's happening and this is how we safeguard? Because I know that Neil will certainly have a game plan if they'll have a best case scenario plan, a worst case scenario plan, and then maybe they're just doing a hope for the best scenario plan. Because that to me is the thing is, if that's all going on and they still don't have full clarification, I mean, is he going to be prepping all in to try and? I think this is. I don't know. I feel like you need to interview one of them, mate.
Oh, I would love to. Maybe
do
Neil.
Neil. Interview Neil.
I'll get Neil on because I'm curious. That's a great idea. Thank you, man.
Give me if you need his number, I've got it. I'll send it to him. I'm sure he won't mind. He messaged me this morning. Actually, sent me a really lovely message. Actually, because we stopped talking. Yeah, because we stopped talking for a couple of years because I made a comment about Bonac years ago and he blocked me apparently because I didn't know. Because I messaged him about something and he says, Giles, do you know what? He says, he said, I can't even remember why I blocked you. So I think you said something about William. It really pissed me off. He says, I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, because me and Neil have been good friends since the 90s. And he said, and then anyway, he said, he's kind of glad that we've reconnected, because like we get upset over silly things, and I do. I mean, I've done it over the years. And, who did I block? I blocked Sean Ray when I was in hospital. I don't even remember why, because at the time I was on so many medications. I had this heart surgery. I was hallucinating, and I remember freaking out one day because I think Sean was trying to ring me, and apparently my heart rate was going ding 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 ding. I have no idea why. I think I was in just a complete I mean, look what just happened to me. I have very little memory of that time. So then I blocked him, and I think I blocked a few other people, and I've got no recollection why. So obviously just in a distressed state. But going back to Mike, this is not good.
I'm not going to say he's not going to be in shape because Neil knows what the hell he's doing. Neil is an incredible coach, and Mike's a machine. If he looks a little bit off in the upper body right now, I'm not worried about it.
He looks a lot off, mate. He looks a lot off.
People are talking, but that's what we do. We talk. I think he'll be okay.
He looks flat and small in the upper body, mate. He looks flat, squishy, small. It looks like his body looks tired to me. But then again, I don't know when this was taken. I don't know about the lighting and stuff like that. But for me, these 2 or 3 things you've shown me on the trot, I would expect him to be looking better. But hopefully, this is a case where it's not translating in this footage, but when he gets on stage, he'll look absolutely sensational. Because like you said, he's so consistent and his conditioning in the last couple of years. Because the thing is, remember, he was ticking along at like a top 10 Olympia guy, not necessarily even being a pro show winner at that time, maybe smaller pro shows, top 5 in medium level. And then all of a sudden, when he leveled up with his condition, it took him to a whole new level and he nearly beat Bumstead. I mean, he actually, got a couple of first place votes. That's huge to go from 7th, 8th, 9th, to be then nearly beating the king. That's a big confidence boost. So that was when Summerfield really arrived as a competitor, as a classic competitor. So he's not going to want to slip back. He's not going to want to slip back. So and I know that Neil will be watching him, very, very closely. Otherwise, they would have pulled him out of the show or for whatever reason. So I don't expect to see Summerfield going backwards, going back a few years, just without sort of Neil and Mike taking action.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
it's good then.
Summerfield looked incredible there. That was a great show for him.
I like him. I think he's a real character. I remember when he turned pro and he was doing like cartwheels on stage and then he did the guest posing dressed as a fairy and all this kind of wacky stuff. And he's got the eccentric beard and the cool hairstyle. He's a real asset to the category. And I don't think I doubt he'll ever be. I mean, Bumstead was an anomaly, for every, like an anomaly you get every 20, 30 years in the industry, not just classic.
Yeah.
So, but he is incredible. He is incredible. Beautiful physique.
All right. Well, let's see who else has a chance. So he was the 2025 Arnold Classic champ, and this was the 2024 Arnold Classic
24.
24. So, yeah. 24 and 25. We haven't had the 2026 show yet. So Wesley.
No. 24 he won the Arnold. And the Arnold.
Yeah. Just like he won, just like those are the years Hottie won those shows.
Yeah.
24. So there was a lot of speculation that he was he was done with Classic. He was going to go into Open, but thankfully for the Classic Physique division and this Arnold Classic, he's hanging in there, still in the Classic division, and he's very, very consistent. This was 2 days ago. Look at that. Look at that.
Wow.
Tissue paper skin he has.
Yeah. He does very, very good updates. I mean, he knows how to pick the right photos and show elements of the physique that what was the one it was his front delts, all his front delts were striated, which you very rarely see. But it's funny, do you know what, when I did the tour with Wesley in 2024, getting bookings for him was so easy. And then it's funny how you just drop in placements at a show. And it's funny how your stock, it is like a stock market. Your stock rises and falls. And it's crazy. That's why I always say when the guys, I always advise the guys, say, look, when your stock is high, you need to be doing tours, you need to be doing this and doing that and promoting yourself, because this is, when you don't do it, when you're sort of, when everyone's forgotten about everyone's on to the next big thing. So, personally, I would love to see Wesley. I would love to see Wesley come back and just smash this one. I mean, I would be, because I know how much it hurt him last year and his wife, how much it hurt them sort of slipping, and I know what it means to him. So I would, and he took a lot of shit online as well, and he handles it really, really well, because he's a very, very classy guy, Wesley. I really like him, and I like his shape. I like his physique. And I just hope his legs don't flatten out, because it's not a case of he doesn't have legs. It's just that when, in those last bits where he just to cut weight, it always like Andrew. I've seen Andrew's legs 3-4 days out from the Arnold and the Olympia, and they look full and round like they did in Romania. Yeah. And then just in that last, with the last manipulation of those last few days, they hold it, and then just right at the very last minute, it sucks it off their legs, and their legs look like they've gone backwards. But so I'm just hoping he manages to hold on to the legs, the hams, and he gets that fullness right, because when he's really on, he's very, very hard to beat.
This is so reminiscent of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mm-hmm. That pose that he does. Wow. All right. Well, like I said, I'm not going to go through the entire lineup. We're just going to mention the biggest name in the Classic Physique is definitely Sam Sulek. So
yeah.
I mean, the kid's on fire. He's training hard. He's coaching himself. He's looking diced. Condition's not going to be an issue. And I think before I was thinking he'll be a sure bet for last place, but now I think just condition might carry him over a few people.
He's made some significant improvements. I know he's given us little flashes, but you and I know the standard he was at when he competed last year. Yeah. I mean, I think I'd have beaten him in my first show.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it paid off, because he took a huge, even though he probably was aware of how good he was, he took a huge gamble by going and doing, one of the most prestigious and most respected ways of getting a pro card at the Arnold Amateur, like Andrew Jack did in 22. It's like, if I'm gonna do this, if I'm gonna get last place, I'm gonna get last place at the Arnold. Do you know what I mean? I kind of like that attitude. It's like, we've seen first timers better than that. But I think what he's been doing in his physique, I think he's really taking it seriously. I think he's maybe now seeing himself, perceiving himself as not just an influencer with a physique that just loves to train. And I think he's evolving. I genuinely think he's evolving. And I think he's actually starting to develop a physique that, even if it doesn't get last place, it's definitely going to look like it belongs up there. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't change your bone structure and your muscle shape. That's just immutable. But I think he will be getting better and better. He is a young guy, and he's working very hard. And I suspect he'll eventually hook up with a coach. I don't think he's going to go his entire pro career, however long that may be, without a coach. But we'll see. We'll see.
So how do you think 2026 will go for Sam Sulek? What's your prediction?
That's this year. So I think he'll beat a few people. I can't remember how many there were in the division. He'll beat like 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 guys in this. I don't see him top 5. Mike Cox just says he thinks top 5 because it's not a deep lineup. But some of these guys, I've seen what they look like, and the shape and the structure. If they show up in any kind of condition, they're going to beat Sam, and it's just reality of bodybuilding, class physique, whatever. It's people have better genetics. But I think he'll do this show. I think he'll maybe hang out and do Detroit, maybe New York. I mean, if I were him, why not just hit a bunch of shows this year for the heck of it?
He's kind of got nothing to lose, hasn't he?
Right.
because he's already got the invite to the Arnold Classic. I mean, even if he places last, it doesn't matter. As long as he looks good, he's not going to lose anything. Like, he's not going to lose any followers or any respect, because I remember Rich Kaspari has done a complete 180, and I like it when people do stuff like that. He's like, you know, the real bodybuilders don't really see this guy as a proper bodybuilder. He's an influencer, and it's like spit on the floor, you know? Like I kind of am, really. If I saw some guy in the gym with a tripod and then you go like, oh, that's so-and-so, he's an influencer. Is he competing? No, he doesn't even train his legs. You know, I kind of like, these are the kind of guys I want to kick their tripod. I have disdain for these human beings. You know, but like someone like Sam, like he's kind of, I mean, big deal, he's earned Giles' respect. But I kind of get what Kaspari's saying, because I'm like, yeah, great, Kaspari, a young kid doing well, he's 23, 24, making money, good on him. You know, I'm happy for him. But then when he competed, and I was like, oh shit, he's actually won, and he's, you know, and he's coached himself, and you know, like I did, you know, it's like I can relate to that, I can connect with that, and I'm like, actually, this kid is pretty cool, because he's, you know, like I said, he doesn't turn up with an entourage. He's not really changed. He seems to be he's just a young kid. Let's just call it and say it what it is. He's a young kid that loves bodybuilding, loves getting big, loves, you know, chilling with his cats, and he's living his best life. And I mean, how can you hate on the guy? I don't understand when people are even remotely critical of this guy, because he's just, look at this. This was us at 19, 20, Ron. I mean, you know, through our 20s, it's just that he happened to have a camera and just documenting, and he's making bloody great money doing it. In fact, I'm trying to get hold of him at the moment, actually, because I want to set something up for him. So I'm literally, it's on my work list today. Yeah, asked about Sulek. So I really, you know, because I like him, and I think I could get on really well with him. But you know, he's just, you know, it's yeah, I think he's awesome. And I just yeah, I think he's pretty much, I think he's a better than a worse influence. Than, like, he's better than he is for the younger guys coming up than he is, you know, the worst guys. You know, he's not just rambling on about gear all the time, and you know, he's cool. I like him, and I think I think it's good that he's doing this show, and I'm rooting for him.
All right. Well, before we go, because we go for an hour and a half, you told me there is a brand new open show happening this fall. It's 25th October. Mm-hmm. It is the 365 Grand Prix Pro in Slovakia.
Yep.
Kosice. I don't know. My Slovakian is a little. Haven't spoke Slovakian in quite a few years, so I'm a little rusty. But I never spoke Slovakian.
Well, I was introduced to, because you know Peter Pick from the CEO of the VLS show, which is becoming like a European Olympia. I mean, we don't even talk about that show. He's been friends with Martin Gajnak, who owns a chain of really, really upmarket gyms in Slovakia called 365 Fit & Co. I think they're up to about, last check was like 8 or 10 or something. And he's always open. Every time I speak to him, he's always enthusiastic. He's only a young guy in his 30s, and he's always opening new gyms. I mean, these are beautiful gyms in Slovakia. He's really kind of leveled it up. And under the tutelage of Peter, his friend, Peter has encouraged him to take on NPC and Pro League in Slovakia. You know, because obviously who's the biggest Slovakian name in bodybuilding?
Krizo,
yeah. So obviously he's part of that, you know, the SciTech team and everything. So Martin has basically set up regionals, and you know, and he's announced his first pro show. The Open Pro Show will be 2 weeks after the EVLS. So obviously they're going to be co-promoting together, and it looks to be taking off. He's been getting great numbers. I mean, he's the one who picked us up from. Remember, the flight got cancelled. We had to fly in the next day with Ronnie in 24, and we had 45 minutes to get from Vienna airport to Bratislav, where literally the local radio and the TV were waiting, so Ronnie could sign this wall, and then we can come back to a room at the Sheraton Ballroom where we had like 400 people in attendance and trade stands and everything, and then literally ready for Ronnie's seminar. Wow. It was absolutely incredible. It was incredible. I mean, this guy he's a classy guy. He really pushes the boat out. He likes to do things properly. Very, very successful, hardworking entrepreneur, kind of self-made guy, you know. And so he's basically doing his first pro show. He's doing Open, and it's going to have Open. So I really, really want to get as many guys. If any Open pros are watching, I'm telling you, this show will be run to a very, very high standard. This guy really does care. And it will be I think it's going to be the same sort of standards in terms of production and care of the athletes as it is at the EVLS, because they're directly involved as well. Oh, wow. So I would definitely recommend anyone thinking of attending, competing. Also, like I said, the regionals as well. You've got the regionals in May. So, and I will be at that regional in May because I will be taking a certain Mr. Jacked.
Oh, Andrew Jack, maybe.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert. Yeah. So basically, and I had, like I said, if I have a good experience working with someone, I'll work with them again and again and again. And Martin he's into his supercars as well. He's the one that, because I don't like the fast driving, especially on the back. And Ronnie was sat in the front, and Ronnie's just like completely not phased as this guy is just down there. He's got those supercars, the silly horsepower and all that.
He'd get along very well with my son-in-law Musa. He's
the Lambo.
Lamborghinis and all kinds of supercars. He's
Nice.
a big aficionado of these 250-mile-an-hour cars. Which I took a ride in one, and I was all set. I said, "I'm good, man."
I don't understand how some people can be like Ronnie can be there, like just with the shades on, chewing gum, like not very physically relaxed. And I'm in the back, like literally messaging Lauren saying, "Kiss the cats, I love you." It's like I was shitting myself. I was terrified. So this will be a really, really good show. And I imagine Crizzo will be competing in it. I'd be very shocked if he wasn't. I think he'd at least be. No, he'll definitely be competing. I mean, I can't imagine him guest posing if he's going to be doing the Olympia, because Crizzo's obviously qualified for the Olympia, won the British show.
Yeah. So, guys, info on that is at npc.slovakia.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right, boy, we've been going for a while, Giles, as we're wont to do.
I barely touched my work schedule today. I
gotta let you go. You got Andrew Jack tours to put together. You got other tours in the May, Dennis Wolf and so forth. So appreciate you taking the time, Giles, of course.
The UK tour is all locked in and loaded now, and I think I've got 3-4 countries on now for the Andrew Jack International, because after the UK tour, Andrew does FIBO. He's got some commitments with SciTech, and then he comes back. And I haven't worked out the order of countries yet, but we've just added Prague. EVLS people are on board.
Yeah.
Slovakia has just been added, and I might have. It looks like I've got another one. Country I just mentioned, actually, they're looking to come on board, and then I think whatever gaps are left, we're looking to either fill in Asia, or I'll probably fill with UK dates, because some people were disappointed when the UK tour got fully booked. So,
yeah, well, that's great.
Very excited, very good, and I'm trying to get something with Sulek and some other people, and looking at some others as well. So I'm just I'm busy as well, busy as hell at the moment. So and also there might be some mini tours in conjunction with the Euromuscle show, and the names, I don't mention the names if I've told you. But until those things are signed on the dotted line and they are promoted, I can't tell you how excited I am to say these names out loud, because there's levels, Ron, and then there's levels.
Well, a couple of the names, and I'll be quiet. But let's say your jaws will drop, because it's beyond our sport. It's much bigger than bodybuilding.
Yes. So, and the thing is that it adds even more credibility to what I'm doing with the Olympia All Star Tours with the bodybuilders, because bodybuilding is always going to be the main core of what I do. Yeah. But you're always looking to expand and look into different demographics. Like when I was at Euromuscle show and I interviewed Eddie Hall and what's his name? The strongman guy, the current strongman. What's his name? The Canadian guy.
I know who you mean. I can't do
it. Why can I not remember his name? The current world's strongest man.
We're not strongmen fans. We don't follow the sport that well. That's right.
But also, it shows you how when you've been interviewing for years and years and years, you only have to do minimal research to really be able to pull off a good interview and actually know your stuff. So it's all those years of Global Muscle stood me in good stead.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Giles. Of course, follow Giles on Instagram, and anyone who has a contact for Sam Sulek, like a real contact, hit Giles up, because he wants to get a hold of Sam for tour. And guys, if you're watching on the replay, we usually don't do this live. We did it live, so feel free to drop some comments. Please do like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching a rare live episode of Power Hour with me and Giles Tiger Thomas. And we'll see you right here next time.